The Monarque just got a sizable nerf for the better half of the patch note, but a buff in two small areas. One being the draw time decrease for faster firing, therefore just a bump in overall DPS, and the second one being the poison damage was increased by 50%. And that alone is a decent enough buff to make the Monarque even more of a solid option. And when pairing it with Gyrfalcon's Hauberk for that infinite volatile build, it is able to clear rooms with even more ease. Whilst poisoning a crowd, they will in addition become spread with volatile, and with that constant tick and damage being applied, the volatile will get set off, without you needing to deal extra damage yourself via going out of your way in order to target the ad individually. And along with the volatile debuff going around, the Void subclass has the ability to proc Devour for that instant health refresh after every enemy defeated. Personal opinion being injected here, Devour is way better than Restoration, but then again I am a Hunter main, so it might just be a bias. Hit that subscribe for me. Nonetheless, let's get into the best Void Hunter build you can ever use inside Destiny 2. Starting off with our subclass, the class ability for my selection will be the Marksman's Dodge, simply just for its base cooldown being 29 seconds versus the Gambler's Dodge 38 seconds. The Void subclass is pretty much the only subclass where I don't utilize Gambler's Dodge. There's just not much to be gained with the melee ability, unless you're going for an infinite invis build. For the melee, it will just be the Snare Bomb, not much other options here, but one key aspect that the Snare Bomb has that is able to come into the build later would be that it comes with a 15% weakened debuff to apply. This will be important later. Next up would be your grenade of choice. Mine is and apparently will always be the Vortex Grenade for its ad control capabilities, to where it sucks everything into the center of it and it will pair nicely with the Monarque's Splash Poison effect. And with the Splash also will come with the Volatile shortly after. So it's a nice burst in DPS for room clearing. For the aspects, I have Vanishing Step as my first choice. Just gives you the ability to have a get out of jail free card on demand whenever you need it, or just gaining a better position without taking too much aggro on you. The next aspect will be the Stylus Executioner. Gyrfalcon's Hauberk and Stylus Executioner are a match made in heaven. Defeating a Void debuffed enemy grants you True Sight and makes you invisible. To run one without the other should be considered a war crime. So, enough said. Getting into the fragments here, we do have the bulk of our build. The true carries, as you might say it. Starting off with the most important one would be Echo of Harvest. By defeating a weakened target, you will create both an Orb of Power and a Void Breach. With that said, the Void Hunter has one source of weaken just by default, with the Snare Bomb. Throwing it out onto the field before following it up with an arrow from the Monarque will spawn both an Orb of Power and a Void Breach, just like it says. Now to give you another avenue of your Void debuff would be the Echo of Undermining. I'm sure everyone is familiar with it here. It makes your grenade apply a weaken effect. And with that said, you don't even need to follow up with an arrow after you throw your grenade. The second your grenade finishes off the enemy, it will spawn the Breach and the Orb of Power for you. So that's just really nice to know. Now the main purpose of a Void Breach is to supply you with class ability energy, around 12% each breach. But with the Echo of Starvation, it will give it the additional effect to giving you Devour, along with the Orb of Power that literally spawns right alongside it. And both of these are very important to have. But to wrap up the last of our fragments, it would be Echo of Persistence. It just increases your effects of Devour and Invisibility, and it happens with overshields as well, and thanks to Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, if you do a finisher while invisible, you will gain an overshield. Getting into our armor mods, I'm going to have them here just for a brief moment before going in depth. If you would like to just play mix and match, do feel free to pause the video to just do that. But getting into our headpiece, it will be a heavy finder along with a heavy scout. The Monarque, being an exotic primary, grants even higher rates of heavy drops, so if you're in a raid setting or a grandmaster setting, heavy to spend for you and your teammates is always nice to have. And also I went with the addition to a Void Siphon, just for the more orbs of power to be spawned, of course. On the arms, I have Bolstering Detonation for that increase in ability energy for every time my grenade does damage to enemies, and a Firepower mod, for the reason that when having a Firepower mod paired with Echo of Harvest, if your grenade defeats an enemy, it will drop a Void Breach and 2 Orbs of Power. Having 2 Orbs of Power drop versus just the one will make all the difference once we get into our legs and class piece. But to just briefly go over the chest piece, it's just your standard defense mods. I feel like in all of my build videos I am just a broken record when it comes comes to the chest piece, it will always and forever probably just be standard defense mods. Rarely will it ever be anything else. So now moving on to the legs piece. This is where everything starts falling together in the build. For the numerous orbs we will be creating, we will be gaining energy for both our grenade and our class ability, along with gaining devour by using insulation for our class ability and innervation for our grenade energy. For our class ability, we have two sources to get that energy back. One will be through insulation just by picking up standard orbs, and for the void breaches that we will be collecting. Those grant around 12% every time you pick up a void breach. And for our grenade, we also have two sources to gain that energy back. One would be through orbs of power, obviously, and the second will be through every enemy defeated while devour is active, making abilities come back just as soon as they left us. Last on my legs is a stacks on stacks mod. This can be swapped out with whatever you want. It could be either a surge mod or a scavenger mod. I'm going with stacks on stacks for the reason that every time I get a grenade kill, I will have full armor charges for the special finisher that will be on my class piece. But now, speaking of the class piece, we will be going over that now. Special finisher being the one that we just went over. With all the sources of orb creation we will be doing, special ammo will just be dime a dozen. And with a Reaper mod paired with powerful attraction, just by simply dodging, we will be activating our Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, as well as collecting any orbs in the area, feeding into all the avenues we have under the sun. I'll spare you from hearing all of them yet again, as well as priming us ready for our next 2 kills to spawn orbs of power. Now, don't get me wrong, the Monarque is the staple weapon for this build, but during the day 1 Crota's end, I ran this same exact build with Graviton Lance. The chaining explosions that tagged along with Volatile being in the mix thanks to Gyrfalcon's Hauberk was devastating to anything shy of a champion. For the champions, I simply just mowed them down with commemoration. And saying that Volatile doubles as anti-barrier rounds, Gyrfalcon's Hauberk was super clutch for the day 1 raid race. Commemoration can also roll with Repulsor's Brace, though I did not go that route. To address a previous video that I have done, the legendary Void Wave Frame Grenade Launcher Harsh Language is also able to run Repulsor's Brace. And in terms of amazing ad clear and has overshield reprocs, Harsh Language is just a must-have to have in your inventory. And with going down the Repulsor's Brace path, the overshield granted will feed into Echo of Persistence, where it will just last longer. And as a pro tip when entering any fight, I would start out with throwing a grenade. This will spawn the Orbs of Power and Void Breaches for when you proc Marksman Dodge for the volatile rounds. You can now go through and scoop up all of the pickups in order to gain Devour and most of your ability energy back. And with only a couple kills into the fight, you should have all of your abilities back before shit hits the fan. Though I highly doubt it ever will, because again, Stylus Executioner will keep you perma-invised and Devour will have your health full at all times. Now I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you have, a like and subscribe would be very much appreciated. We just reached 2,000 subscribers, and now it's time to take our goal to 3,000. I want to thank every single last one of you guys for your support. It means more to me than you probably think, and I love you all for it. See you guys in the next one. Peace. If you have made it to this part of the video, it means that you gotta be loyal or something. But if you want to take a break from the informational content and watch something that's more on the entertaining side, then this ratchet video I have for you right here should do the trick. Like, please, it took a month to make. It's my favorite video to date. On God, it would mean the world to me if you just gave it a chance. I know it's not Destiny, but hey, it's something new.